Yes, yes, yes. What is up? What is up? MCR family. Another weekly edition of the show live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Please let me know how it sounds and everything. I'm not at the studio. I'm currently at my girlfriend's house. So if it sounds weird, let me know. I can try to adjust and fix it. But obviously, a lot to get into on today's show. A lot of fights this weekend. A lot of fights. I know Gary's hyped. Let's be honest. Gary is the most hyped I've seen him in some time. And I'm intrigued by this main event, even though it's pay-per-view. You know, Gervonta Davis, Mario Barrios. I'm not too hyped on it being pay-per-view. It's an intriguing matchup. You know, if this was on Showtime or Fox, I don't think it would be an issue, to say the least. But without further ado, we have so much to get into. Let me get to my co-host, the one and only Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you?
It's go time. It's Poro. Due Dieche. How would you say 210 in Spanish?
Why are you asking me?
I don't know. I was asking the chat, really. Puro. That would be Italian, but I'm sure it's pretty similar. It's pure 210 time. 2-1-0. This is great because Barrios is going to win, and then I'm going to be right, and everyone else is going to be wrong. I can't wait to break down that fight because, Barrios is going to win.
Maybe. He might win. I mean,
how would you say 210 in Spanish? So someone in the chat, would it just be like, dos? And then, how is 10 in Spanish? Dieche?
Gary, I am Portuguese, Spanish, and British. But I'm just white, let's be honest. So I don't know, Gary, unfortunately.
There are plenty of white people who speak Spanish.
That is true. That is true.
Paul and Marc Gasol.
But they're actually from Spain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not from Spain, Gary. I'm Spanish. But I'm third generation or second generation Spanish. That's not the same. Anyways, Santiago saying it's Dos Diaz.
Okay, so you wouldn't say 210. You would just say 210 like we do in English or Italian.
Well, I mean, you're specifically asking how to say
210
in Spanish, not would they say 210 in Spanish.
That's true. That's true.
Carrie. Anyways. I mean, obviously, you want to get into it. I know you do. The PBC.
I've been dying all week to get into this.
Is it Fox pay-per-view or Showtime pay-per-view?
Showtime pay-per-view.
Showtime pay-per-view.
You're not watching the All Access?
No.
Okay.
Have you? Oh, it's Barrios. Of course you have.
Yeah, there's only been 2 episodes. I don't know if there's a third episode tomorrow, but there's only been 2 episodes. And I love Barrios, but he's not. How do I not be rude? He's not. His personality isn't electric or anything like that.
He's not a star.
He's a nice kid. He's a polite kid, but he doesn't have a star personality. Damn. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Yeah. Damn. But I mean, other than that, has it been good for you? I mean, has it been entertaining for you to watch the all access, all that stuff?
Well, it's good. I know Barrios, personally. So yeah, I mean, it's fun to see him because I saw him fight at Cowboys in San Antonio his first when he was a 122 and a 126 pounder. It's crazy to see him now fighting on pay-per-view. I've always thought he was this good. It's now it's finally happening, right? When you have that star high school player who's now he's in the NFL. It's well, he looked like he was that good, and now he is.
I mean, what's your gauge on the pay-per-view? I mean, it's going to do around the 200K mark, or is it going to do below that? Is it going to do 120? 100?
They get paid on the back end, so I want to be positive for my boy. I want my boy to get a big fat payday. I can't. Honestly, if it does 200, I think that'll be a big number. Santa Cruz, I thought sold the other pay-per-view just as much as Tank did. Yeah,
I agree. It was a good pairing of them. Yeah. Quite on. I mean, Leo's been a mainstay at the top, especially at featherweight, for a while. And was doing decent numbers in viewership on Showtime and Fox. So, it wasn't surprising that they meshed well in terms of generating a 200K buy rate for a 130-pound fight, which is rare.
Barrios, all due respect, he's never headlined a Showtime card. Like,
He's
I'm
never
not.
had a Showbox card. Nothing.
I don't know about a Showbox card, but he's never headlined a big Showtime or a Fox card. Did he show? Has he ever headlined a Showbox card when he was 10-0? I don't know. Maybe. Although I feel like he's always put on undercards.
Yeah, he's been an undercard guy for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I similar perception as you. I think this fight is going to do well below any mark. To be quite honest, if it does 200K, they're going to be really ecstatic. I doubt it hits that number. To be quite honest, maybe I'm wrong.
If they do the 200,000 plus, it's because Tank sold it. It's because Tank's a bigger star than we're giving him credit for. But I don't think he's that big. Like, I don't think Tank is a bigger star than Triple G was when Triple G was on his run. So, like, 150, 160, 170 is kind of what I'm guessing.
Yeah, somewhere around that mark for sure. Maybe even below that. I can see like 120, to be quite honest. Maybe even like 15. I'll be honest. I mean, what about mainstream sports? Is it competing with anything big on Saturday? Playoff basketball? I mean, anything going on?
I mean, in baseball, you're in the middle of the season, so that's not much. Basketball, is there a game on Saturday? That probably is. I mean, today's what, Wednesday?
Probably.
Is it Wednesday or Thursday? Today's Thursday. So
Thursday.
The Suns Clippers are probably on, I would guess. I haven't looked at the schedule. Because tomorrow you'd have the East Coast game and Saturday you go back. They usually alternate days. I don't know. There's not a ton on, especially if that series is 3-0. But I don't feel like Tank Davis is drawing a whole bunch of casual fans. Like, I don't think he's going to bring in basketball fans who feel like watching a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll see. I don't think Tank is bringing in casual fans. I think he's bringing in.
It's hard to gauge because, I mean, you compared it to Triple G, right?
Yeah.
Triple G was, a really good ticket seller, right? He was selling out LA arenas. He was selling out New York arenas. He was doing pretty well in terms of ticket sales. Also, he was on HBO towards the tail end, so he was their main attraction. He was getting a lot of push by that network. He was doing really good ratings there. Tank is on a much smaller network than HBO. He hasn't got a lot of featuring time on Fox, though he has, and he's I think done decent viewership on Fox when he's been there. I think he's been on like undercards, the Mayweather-McGregor fight, for example. There's another fight I believe he was on the undercard for, though that might have been the pay-per-view portion as well. Tank Davis is just becoming a star in some fashion, right? Like, he just sold out Atlanta. The Leo fight just did 200K. He's just becoming something. So it's really hard to gauge how fast that stardom can move, if it is going to move. Because I'll be honest, like, I'm not the right person to be talking about the casual sporting fan and what they're interested in. I don't watch mainstream sports. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get that, finger on the pulse at all. Tank seems like a boxing star. I'm using boxing star specifically. But that doesn't mean he's going to do 200, 300, 400K. 150 is a boxing star, like a Triple G, like an Andre Ward. You're hitting that number if you're on pay-per-view. But let's get to the fight, Gary, because I know you've already.
I've been waiting weeks and weeks and months for this.
To analyze this matchup. Give me the analysis here. Why is Barrios going to play upset? Because I don't know the betting odds. I assume you might.
It's only about 2-1. So it's not that big. I thought it was going to be 4-1 or 6-1 just because people like to bet on Tank. Tank is the bigger star. Tank had the viral knockout that put Santa Cruz to sleep, where he's out with a smile on his face. But it's only about 2-1, and I guess that's because of the size difference, and that's going to be the difference in the fight. So if Barrios, and they're saying fight a boring fight, like that's what his camp is calling it. I don't like that term. Like, I don't think it's a boring fight. If he keeps Tank at the end of his punches, I think it's a reasonably easy fight. Like, Tank Davis is explosive. He's not Canelo. He's not a shorter guy who's a master at getting on the inside, and he's not a master in the inside. What he is unbelievably strong and powerful for a guy that size, right? He's not a master. He doesn't make you miss like Canelo does and then slip his way onto the inside. He doesn't. He eats shots, right? And he's not eating shots from a blown-up 118-pounder. He's eating shots from a guy who's about to fight at 147, a guy who walks around at 165 pounds. So Is that funny?
Leo, the blown up 118 pounder. Who's the?
Yeah, Leo.
He's not blown up 118 pounder. Stop it.
What does Leo come up from? 118. He started at 118.
Nah, 122. Was it?
Yeah,
Was it?
I feel like he started at 118, but it doesn't matter. Like, he's a much bigger, naturally stronger physical guy than is Leo Santa Cruz. And he walks around at 165. This is his last fight, probably win, lose, or draw at 140 because he can't make the weight because he's a big dude. And you can see that when they face off. He's much, much bigger than him.
Dude, you're even like, we're both wrong. He was like, his lowest weight is 113 in the pros. That was his second pro fight.
Superfly.
Dude, guess the year.
2007.
Yes, man. Dude.
Hey. Because I remember by 2010, 2011, amongst hardcores, he was already kind of like a big name. Like, his style was fun. Like, he was fun.
Yeah, and plus he had a lot of pop at those lower weight classes compared to 126 and 130. So he was knocking out motherfuckers and throwing up, 1,000 punches a fight. He's that type of dude.
He was Antonio Margarito with a lot more skills.
Yeah, with a jab.
Yeah. I don't mean to disparage. Well, I mean, I do mean to disparage Margarito, but Margarito I thought was a good fighter. He was just obviously fought one way.
Dude, it was crazy. So Margarito was at the Pereira fight, the sort of cross fight. I totally did not recognize him.
I saw a picture, but I wouldn't have recognized him either until they put Margarito. I'm like, really?
He was with this woman, and she was attractive, right? And constantly people are taking photos of them. I'm thinking, is she like some like some pop singer? Like, is she some Latino artist like I don't know about? Because that didn't look like Margarito. And then I finally somebody told me it was Margarito. And I got to see him up close. That dude must be on something, just allegedly. I don't know, but
allegedly, I think I was told. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Man, I am worried about Margarito's health. That's all I will say.
His wife left. That wife, Michelle, that was always with him, the one who always says she left him. So this is a different woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. See, when your wife leaves you, crazy things happen. Even if you get a 25-year-old supermodel looking girl, that's not his wife.
Out to Margarito. But digressing. I mean, your analysis is basically hinging on the aspect of Barrios being able to keep Tank on the outside.
All right, let me get back to the important stuff. Right, if he keeps him on the outside, he wins the fight going away. He wins every round. I don't think Tank is that good at getting on the inside. I think he kept at bay, especially by a bigger, stronger guy. If he gets on the inside, all bets are off. But everyone's acting like if he gets on the inside, Barrios is dead meat. No. Barrios can knock Davis out on the inside. It's not the fight I would have him fight because he can dominate on the outside. But if this becomes a phone booth fight, Barrios can win that. Like, Barrios, they thought like Barrios is a feather-fisted guy. He's not.
It's not being feather-fisted per se because he's not. He has some pop, that's for sure. I was thinking about my counter arguments to you, Gary, because of course I just want to pick Tank Davis just in spite of you. But no, Barrios has pop. That's not a counter argument I would use. My counter argument would be that Barrios is not really a great inside fighter, in my opinion. He's a guy that likes to be on the mid range. He loves being at that range where he can pop his jab out and set things up from that. When he's on the inside, he can fight there, but that's definitely not his forte. His inside fighting. He doesn't seem like that's where his wheelhouse. That doesn't seem where he naturally wants to be. He wants to be on the outside or in the mid range, working off the jab, working his lateral movement. And if he can do that for 12 rounds and survive and not get hit enough, and when stack up rounds, he can absolutely beat Tank Davis. That's not out of the question. I think this is not a huge underdog here, in my opinion. I think Barrios is absolutely game for this fight. And plus the weight discrepancy, like we were talked about. Barrios is a guy that's moving up to 147 pounds. Tank should be at 130 right now. That's the reality. He should be at 130 or 135. Not a eventual 147 pounder that's 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet tall, that can use the jab, is a good boxer, is talented, has power. This is a risky fight. But there is enough holes on the inside for Barrios to where if taking it in there consistently, he will be able to hurt Barrios, in my opinion. Akhmadov did that. Akhmadov was able to get on that inside past that mid-range of Barrios and was able to lop him up with some really big hooks, some really big shots. And that disrupted Barrios throughout the entire fight. Can Tank do that? I think that's within, possibility. Is it probable? It seems it's going to most likely happen at least partially through the fight. Consistently, it's hard to guess. I mean, say it does happen enough to where Barrios is hurt enough, it's dropped enough, whatever. Tank is able to steal enough points, either win decision or get a late fight finish. Because I don't think Barrios is as talented on the inside to handle that. Can he keep Davis there? That's absolutely a possibility because Tank, like you said, is not Canelo where he can slip that jab effortlessly and get on the inside and land body blows. He's not that guy yet. But Tank's also 24, 25. He's getting better and older with time. So maybe he develops that. I don't know. But I don't think he needs that right now with Barrios. Gary?
I would say the blueprint, and you're going to laugh because he ended up losing the fight, was doing what Pedraza did when Pedraza was having success. Right? Like, you got to touch him to the body more, make him uncomfortable, and you got to throw more shots than what Pedraza did.
Oh, Gary went away. Is it me or is it Gary, guys? What happened? Oh, you're back, Gary.
You hear me okay?
Yes. You're back. Okay, talking about Pedraza.
Okay, I think that's the game plan. Just do it better than Pedraza did. Like, I know you're going to laugh because Pedraza had success and spots in that fight when he was able to keep him away, right? I think Barrios, if he just touches him to the body, makes him uncomfortable, and fires more shots, you got to do what Pedraza did, but times it by 10. Just do more of it. And I think if he doesn't exchange with him, I think he wins round after round after round because I think he's the better boxer. He's longer and he's taller and he's got the natural advantages. I think this fight's only interesting if that Aztec warrior blood kind of kicks in and Barrios goes to war with him, which I don't think he needs to do, which he could. And even if he does, I still think he could win that way. Not that he definitely wins that way, but he could still knock Tank out on the inside.
I mean, it's not the probable outcome, though, right? If you're going to, hypothesize how Barrios is going to win, you're not going to pick knocking Tank out with the inside combination. You're not going to pick that.
That's not what I'm picking. I'm picking him to look. Tank's really good. Okay, so Tank is going to have moments when he gets on the inside. He's going to get on the inside at times. Like Barrios isn't going to throw a shutout, so to speak, right? Like Barrios. Tank is too good for that. So he's going to have to do work on the inside. But he's going to have to just kind of tie him up and mitigate the work on the inside, right? Like when he gets inside, just tie him up, push him back, right? You're taller, you're longer, you should be physical. Just push him back like Holyfield did to Tyson. Just push him back. You're not going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got 6 inches on you, whatever it is. We're going to fight my fight. We're not going to fight your fight.
Can't wait to see it, Gary. Can't wait to see it. Obviously, if Barrios wins, he's getting a big fight. Even though this is a big fight next, right? Where do you see him going next if he wins?
Winner of Mikey versus Regis I think will happen.
Ooh. You think that fight's going to happen?
I do, because Regis really wanted the Broner fight for obvious reasons, because it's a big money fight that's really easy. But it seems he said that Broner doesn't want anything to do with it, right? And Regis is the guy who talks a lot, but usually what he says is a shred of truth, like there's elements of truth to it, right? I asked him if he would go over to Scotland to fight Josh Dillon, like if they pay me enough. I was like, don't go there, fight him. You'll never get a decision, and he didn't. But like. I wasn't wrong.
That is true, Gary.
Although, I mean, I don't have no problem. I scored it for Regis, but I had no problem if you scored it for Taylor.
Do you think the Mikey fight happens at 140 or 147?
147.
Yes, I'll take that.
Who do you think? Who do you got? Mikey or Regis?
Regis.
Yeah, I got Regis too. So I think Mario will fight Regis at 147 next.
That'd be good. We'll have to
wait for that division. I don't know what Errol Spence is going to do. I don't know if he's going to leave the division, leaving 3 belts wide open. I don't know. But I think he fights Regis.
We got to think about that in like sooner than later, because Spence sooner than later is going to vacate those belts.
Or if Pacquiao wins and Pacquiao retires and he's vacated all the belts too. Yeah, if Pacquiao beats Spence, and I'm not picking it, but if he does, it's not unreasonable to think he beats Spence. He just beat Thurman. Does he retire? Like, is that it? Does he just walk away and say, I'm the greatest ever? I'm done.
Dude, I think if he goes and beats Crawford after that, like the narratives around Pacquiao will get so hyperbolic, we won't be able to contain it. Like, think about
Floyd's
it.
got to come back, right?
dude no, I'm telling you, it has to come back and fight Pacquiao if that happens.
But Floyd can't beat Pacquiao. Pacquiao's been active. He's been fighting world-class fighters. And
can you imagine? Because theoretically, this is what happened in 2022, right? In 2022, let's say we have Mayweather Pacquiao fighting for the undisputed welterweight championship. That would be insane. Guys that started in the 90s.
Yeah, when did Floyd win his first world title? Like 98, 99?
Yeah.
Floyd was a world champion in the 90s. Well, Pacquiao might have been too. Probably was.
No, he's definitely a pro in the 90s.
Was he a world champion in the 90s?
No, because he became a world champion, right?
No, that was his second weight class, right? He's a 112-pound champ. And at that time, like, they didn't really fight on mainstream USA TV. I'm going to look this up. Santiago, when did Pacquiao? It was right around 2000.
Who's going to win, me or Santiago, with finding it? Fuck you, Santiago.
Say 99, he won his first world title.
He has international belts in the 90s, I believe. But not. No, he did. Yeah. No, he lost. He lost right there. 99. No, he did.
Yeah, he won in 98. September of 98. Yeah.
So they both, were champions in the 90s. That would be insane.
It's 2022 or 2021.
And it's not out of the question. That's the crazy part. God. Do you think that's an indictment on the current generation? Or just those two guys are that great?
Let me give you an example, right? Tom Brady's that age. Is this current crop of quarterbacks no good? Is Pat Mahomes? Is Lamar Jackson? Are these guys no good? No, they're great. It's just Tom Brady is special. And I would say that this is not an indictment on these guys, Spence, Thurman, or anyone like that. Like, they're great. But Pacquiao is special. You don't like that analogy?
It's an all right analogy. But quarterbacks aren't taking the punishment that boxers are taking. Let's be honest about that. And it's a team sport. So, Tom Brady has had one of the best defensive coaches of all time, coaching it for most of his career. He's had fantastic Hall of Fame receivers. He's had an amazing offensive line. He's had a lot of tools around him to be successful, where, a boxer, at the end of the day, they're in the ring by themselves. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different, in my opinion. Taking, nearly 30 years of punishment like that and still potentially being the best in the world, hands down, that's fucking insane. Tom Brady being a, early 40s quarterback that's still at the top of the league, that's not that uncommon. There's been a ton of quarterbacks that
not at this level. I mean, they played. Not
Brett Favre.
Played until he was 41, 42, and by his last 2 years, he was not a great quarterback anymore.
He was still making playoffs.
He was.
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees is the other one. That's the contemporary, same age, I think, or maybe a year older or younger, about the same age as Brady.
And low-key, probably the better quarterback, pound for pound, but that's beside the point. I'm not going to go there.
I mean, it's tough to say that when one guy's got one Super Bowl ring, the other's got 7. But I kind of, if you look at their numbers, Brees is better. That's not blasphemy. It's factually accurate. He's statistically better.
The weird part is it's almost like a LeBron James, Michael Jordan comparison, but they're contemporaries.
Yeah.
Where, one has all the stats, but one has more rings at the end of the day. LeBron has more stats than anyone. Drew Brees has more stats than basically any quarterback in the league, except for Super Bowl.
Jeter and A-Rod, but then they started playing. But Jeter won all the World Series and A-Rod all the stats.
Yeah, another good example. Look at us, mainstream sports, bringing it together. I'm digressing, though. What were we talking about? Oh, back to the Barrios Tank Davis card. The undercard is pretty decent as well. Erickson Lubin versus Jason Rosario. Bato Akhmadov, the guy that arguably beat Mario Barrios a couple years ago, fighting.
Not if you do math. If you do math, there's no way he won, but that's okay.
I mean, one guy's face was broken.
That's not how you score a fight, though. You score by like points, math. Like if you just look at their face, okay, you can say that.
In the streets,
in the streets, different story. Although Akhmadov got knocked down twice, by the way.
That is true. That was a good fight, though. That was a really good.
It was a really good fight.
Fighting Argenis Mendez. That's a quality undercard fight. Carlos.
I didn't realize that. Is he?
Yeah,
that's a good fight. That's a good fight.
It is.
I think Akhmadov should steamroll because Mendez is old by now, isn't he?
And not really a 140 pounder.
I mean, there's that too. Yeah.
He's been a 130 pounder and 135 pounder, I think, for most of his career. Carlos Adames on the card versus Alex Salazar. Ludin Bartholome, the lesser of the Bartholomews, and they both are, what they offer.
Francis is good. He's just really boring. Like, he's a good fighter.
Oh, man. They clearly don't give a fuck, man. It's so sad. It's so sad. Versus a guy named Victor Slavinsky or something. Andreas Gutierrez versus Angel Hernandez. Dalton Bodie versus Trevor Bradshaw. And Stacy Selby versus William Smith. Gary, obviously I want to talk about the Lubin Rosario fight in some detail. Okay, this is a big step up for Lubin. And a tough comeback fight for Rosario. Like, this is really tough matchmaking here.
This is tough. You can't afford losses at this division because it's so competitive and so even. Like, a loss hurts you. Because there's going to be one champion who has all the belts, who I can't see either one of them move. Maybe Charlo goes to 160, but those guys at 160 are a lot bigger than him. And Castano, he's too short. This is it. This is as high as he goes. So that champion might run this division for a while, and there's only going to be one champ. A loss is going to take you out of a title picture. It's like a loss is going to hurt you.
Yeah, and I mean, Lubin's been on a huge winning streak since he lost to Jamel Charlie's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight winning streak. Again, Rosario's coming off that really, really embarrassing loss in his last fight to Jamel Charlo as well.
Strange loss. It was he got floored before that, but it was a competitive fight, which he was losing, but it was close. And then that body shot was just kind of like weird, and it made him look like he was having convulsions on the ground. It didn't even look like that big of a shot.
No,
it was really strange.
Yeah. Gary, what's your perception of this matchup? Because I'm all over the place with how to pick this. Lubin was looking really, really good in his comeback until I think his last fight, and he looked pretty poor. He looked like he just wasn't able to adapt mid-fight. Again, Rosario, I was super high on off of the J-Rock win. He looked, in my opinion, really poor in the Jamel Charlo fight. I didn't think he fought a good fight at all. I didn't think it was that competitive. I don't know what to pick here. I mean, I think either guy can win here in a multitude of ways. I don't think we really have a gauge on what they're at in this division, to be quite honest.
If Lubin has the power to hurt Rosario, he'll win. If he doesn't, I think Rosario breaks him down and wins later in the fight. Like, I think the first half of the fight and the second half of the fight could be very different stories. I think Lubin's obviously the better boxer. Like, Lubin's a really, really good, crafty boxer with good speed. If he just wins rounds early in the fight and doesn't really start to break Rosario down, Rosario will stop him in the second half of the fight because Rosario is an animal. Like, he's a physical force. So, like, I think either Lubin kind of schools him and is able to hurt him, or watch out. Like, if he can't, I'm not saying he has to stop, but he has to slow him down and hurt him and punish him. If he can't do that, Rosario's going to take you out the second half of the fight. So I'm picking the latter to happen. I think Lubin is doing good until he slows down, and then Rosario breaks him down and stops him 8th, 9th, 10th round, something like that. I'll say 9th round.
I'm going to pick Lubin. And I agree with your analysis 100%, to be quite honest. I just lean Lubin's going to be able to probably hurt Rosario a bit, or at least be able to have enough power to get his boxing to be effective and authoritative. I'm getting a Munguia vibes from Rosario. I'll just say that. I don't know how good Rosario is now. I think I went way too hyperbolic and overblown off the J-Rock win. Lubin's put in more work in the division. That's the reality. He's built himself up from that loss. I think that's a little bit more reliable. Rosario's coming off of a loss where I thought it was a pretty embarrassing loss. And again, he's a guy that's also very young, that's also just learning, getting better. Lubin's the better boxer, though, so he's probably going to win the round. He's probably going to win decision. I'm picking Lubin. And I'm picking Akhmedov and the A sides as well on the rest of the card. Gary, any other thoughts on this Showtime pay-per-view?
No, I mean, after the top 2 fights, Akhmedov fights. So there's 3 good fights on it. The rest of it is prospects and I mean, Francis Bartholomew. Wait, it's Luden.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a bunch of losses and stuff. Why are we still interested in him?
He doesn't have a bunch of losses. He has 1 loss.
He's only got 1 loss?
Yeah.
I feel like he's got like 3. He's only got 1 loss?
Yeah, a loss and a draw to the same guy, Eduardo Ramirez.
All right, I guess. All right. I don't ever remember him looking good. I can't ever remember saying one time saying, okay, I need to see him again. Okay.
He's never looked good, Gary.
So why do we keep putting him on these cards?
Because I don't know, man. I don't know. They put a lot of money in him, so therefore they're going to keep putting him on cards. Like, that's the reality, Gary. Right? He's a guy that is one of the most boring fighters to watch, but people invested in him, so therefore we're going to be forced to watch him. It is what it is. The other marquee event of the weekend, Vasily Lomachenko coming back from his epic loss to Teofimo Lopez against Nakatani, and what can be a massive upset. Gary, and sort of the theme of the weekend, I don't know what to pick here. Like,
I'm with you. I don't know who to pick here. I really don't.
Loma's the better guy, hands down. Loma's, I think, probably the heavier hitter in terms of just what he's produced in terms of high-level knockouts than Nakatani.
Nakatani has a high-level knockout.
Yeah, but Loma's knocked out and, I should say, finished. He's finished a lot more high-level guys than Nakatani. A lot more, even though he's only had 14 wins. He's clearly the better boxer of the two. He's clearly the better talented fighter, has better IQ. But Nakatani is fucking massive with a lot of pop, and he gave Teofimo Lopez a lot of issues. Like, he's just
more issues than Loma.
I mean, he gave. I mean, he's just an awkward fighter. I feel like. I'm gonna pick Loma here because that seems like just the smart pick. Nakatani's a live dog. No disrespect to him, but he's really just big and strong. And you can be big and strong and be effective, but to beat a potential Hall of Famer that's still probably in his prime, you have to have more than just size, strength, and power, right, Gary?
And awkwardness, but awkwardness, size, and power is a good combination.
I think it's gonna be a tough fight for Loma for sure.
How crazy am I, right? Like, I don't like the way that Loma is responding to his loss. Like, I feel it's in his head the same way that the loss is in Wilder's head, but Wilder made changes. I don't see Loma making any changes. I want to pick Nakatani. I do. How crazy is that?
Let us know. I mean, anyone else out there picking Nakatani, or are you just
when Nakatani lost to Teofimo Lopez, everyone was giving Teofimo crap for having a tough fight with Nakatani. I was like, I don't know. I think Nakatani, we need to see him again. I think he's pretty good. And then we saw him again and he beat Verdejo. At that time I said I think he's pretty good. That doesn't mean he would beat Loma, right? I don't like the way Loma's reacted to this loss. Like, I don't think he's mentally right. I think Lopez may have had an effect on him like J-Rock had on Hurd. I'm going to take Nakatani on points. I think he drops Loma too.
Maybe.
That would not make Top Rank happy because they still have big plans for Loma.
I mean, we're getting conflicting views here. I don't know, Gary. I don't know. It's a tough fight. It's a tough comeback fight for sure.
I know boxing math doesn't work this way, but who won more rounds with Teofimo Lopez? Nakatani or Loma?
Nakatani.
Yeah. I know, I get it. Boxing math doesn't work. I know, I get it. But what I'm saying is Nakatani's not a bum. You don't win rounds with Teofimo Lopez if you're a bum. That's what I'm saying.
No, he's not. No, that's why he's a live dog.
I feel people in the chat are saying he's got no chance. This and that, like Nakatani is some cab driver. Like he's not.
You were just saying the bookies have Loma as a huge favorite. What are the odds? You know. Heath in the chat is going all in on Nakatani.
Yes, yes. I what the hell? Go get him.
Dude, if Nakatani wins, I'll be hyped. I love Japanese boxers, man. Always a fan of them. And plus, like Loma losing will just like create more chaos in the low weight division. So like, why not? You know, it would be sad though.
I still think Loma belongs at 26 or 30. I don't think this is the best weight class for him.
Yeah, but then we're gonna hear like Foogatti like complain and whine about that and use that as an excuse for why Teofimo Lopez beat him, even though they like kind of.
Oh, if Fool's listening, then Nakatani's gonna stop him.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Can you imagine Nakatani stops Loma? How mad Fu would be?
He's not gonna be happy.
No, he's not gonna be happy. He's gonna be so sad. Also in the card, Rob Brandt versus Zanbek Alamekulier.
They like this guy. Here's a big chance for him.
He's talented. He's talented. I know I just mispronounced his name, but I like his fights. I don't know if he beats Rob Brandt. That's
what I'm saying. They're kind of throwing him in. Rob Brandt's a good fighter. Like I'm not saying Rob Brandt is the greatest thing in the world, but he's good. I'm gonna pick Brandt to outbox him because I think Brandt's underrated. I know he lost in the super the World Boxing Super Series as a 160. He's not a 168 pounder, so it's funny out of his weight class. And then the only other loss he has is the Murata, which he also beat Murata. So, like, this is a big step up for him. Like, I'm picking Brandt. I think this is a lot to ask.
Yeah, and you know what? From my perception, Gary, a lot of these Central Asian fighters from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, etc., that have become like boxing hardcore sensations that are racking up low undefeated records, right? That Match from USA is signing up, it seems.
Ali Akhmadov, is that who we're
a lot of them, when in the last, let's say, 12 months, haven't taken step ups. Not all of them. A lot of them haven't taken step ups. A lot of those people that have been taking step ups have been getting beat, it feels like. Like we just saw it the other night with Gabe Rosado. This feels like one of those fights to me where this is a massive step up for a 9-0 fighter that hasn't fought anyone as talented as Rob Brandt. And we have no idea how good he is. You have no idea how talented he is. You have no idea if he's actually going to be able to take a top 15 middleweights punch, because that's what Rob Brandt is. Like the power from a top 50 fighter, a top 40 fighter, top 30 fighter to a top 10 fighter is drastically different. It's not even close. We're talking about a 9-0 guy that's completely untested. I don't know why they're doing this to these Central Asian fighters. I don't get it. Because they have a lot of height.
Every single one of his next Triple G. It was like at the packet, every single Southpaw and Filipino. And all of a sudden, every Filipino became a Southpaw. Like, statistically, this is all wrong. Like, there's not that many left-handed people. But every one of them was the next Pacquiao. Like,
statistically, there's not that many left-handed people in the Philippines.
Yeah, there's not that many. Like, most people are right-handed.
Ryan Hong in the chat is saying Brandt got no power. Yeah, but neither does like Gabe Rosado.
Was Gabe Rosado a big hitter?
I mean, no, he's always been known for kind of being a light-handed guy. He's kind of like a Paulie Malignaggi type, in my opinion. Rob Brandt kind of fits that mold to some degree as well. And the issue is what I'm saying here is that Brandt may not have a lot of power when we talk about top 10 middleweights. We're comparing him to other guys at the top 10 level or top 15 level. But compared to guys that Zanabek has been fighting, he has pop. He has power. That's without a doubt. Plus the boxing skills. Rob Brandt's a really talented boxer. I think people are underrating his boxing skills as well. Like he's one of those guys that he can sort of be the live dog against the very top guys in the division. Like Charlo, like Triple G, like Andrade. He could be a live dog against any of those guys. So I don't see why anyone would be picking Zanabek right now to win this fight.
Because he's got pop, right? So people fall in love with power.
But he's only has like 5 knockouts out of 9 wins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like his knockout percentage doesn't look like he's got that much power as what you may think. So,
like, I was just talking to a local prospect named Terrell Washington. Really good guy. He's a 6'1", in terms of height, welterweight, and he was found the undercard of the Barrios card, and he weighed in at 154. So he wants to go down to 140. He's like 9-0 with 9 knockouts. You don't see me going, you know what, to Washington? He can go beat fucking Earl Spence right now. He can go beat Danny Garcia right this second. Like, no one's
you think everyone could beat Danny Garcia?
Well, that's like beside the point there, Gary. Yes. That's partially true. Even your boys. Like, Ortiz, Barrios.
Yeah.
I might pick them.
I think Danny Garcia is going to do quite well at 154.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't get the perception of him being like a guy that's going to naturally be a 154 pounder. Maybe I'm wrong. Gary, what were we talking about? Anything else on this card? Not a lot here, Gary. Giovanni Santalene, Robert Rodriguez, Guido Villanello.
Oh, this is.
That's how do you pronounce the last name?
Vianello. Wait, Guido. Yeah. So you got Biggie. That's that guy. Robert Rodriguez is Biggie Rodriguez. You saw him a bunch of times in the bubbles. He got some sensational knockouts. He's from San Antonio. He trains with Robert Garcia and that group. He's good. He's good. He's got a lot of power. Is he fighting anyone decent, or is he fighting a guy that's like
Luis Savarandi, who's 8-6?
I mean, he has been inactive for a while, but he's really good. Like, he's really heavy-handed. Is he fighting at 18 or 22? Because he's a 118 pounder. He's not a 122 pounder.
122.
They got to bring it down to like, whatever. Like, at this level, I think 86, so it doesn't matter. But, like, as he moves up, he's an 18 pounder. He's not a 122 pounder.
Plus, his last 2 fights were against undefeated fighters. He's fine.
Knocked them both out.
Yeah, and they were both 10-0. That's good. Yeah, I think he's fine. Floyd Diaz on the card as well, and DeMichael Harris.
Floyd Diaz is going to lose. You heard it here first. He fought my boy Jaime Hasso from Laredo. They have no idea what they're putting him in with. I said this when Jorge Castaneda from Laredo beat Otha Jones. They have no clue how good this kid Jaime Hasso is. I've seen him. He's fought twice. He beat a 7-3 guy named Leopoldo Martinez, who's like a good journeyman kind of guy, and then he beat another guy, Frank Boston, who absolutely destroyed. They have no clue how good this kid Jaime Hasso is, because Floyd Diaz was an amazing amateur, and I have no idea what to do. He's gonna lose. I'm telling you right now, he's gonna lose. If he wins, it's by bogus decision. This kid Jaime Hasso is gonna beat him. Is that like gonna be? It's got to be on TV, right? Like on the
ESPN Plus. It'll be on ESPN Plus. Yeah, for sure. Sorry, someone in the chat said that Daenerys Yulushinov, one of those Central Asian fighters, would destroy Earl Spence and Crawford on the same.
Probably on the same night, at the same time, 1-on-2. He'd destroy both at the same time.
No, man. I mean, Yulushinov's a quality prospect nowadays. Like,
he is good.
Yeah,
but
he's good.
Can we stop being ridiculous?
He's on that
it's like Stephen A. Smith said that Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant. Okay, just like let's. Well, why do you got to be ridiculous? Like, Devin Booker is the next Alex English. Devin Booker is the next Chris Mullen. It's a Hall of Fame player. He's a really good player. The next Kobe. So Devin Booker is going to be the best offensive player and defensive player and most clutch player for a 10-year span. Like, can we stop being ridiculous? Like you just say things to be ridiculous. Like, do you think Devin Booker's – and I'm Devin Booker's biggest cheerleader. I said Katie Taylor is the Devin Booker of women's boxing. And I think I said Devin Booker. I might have said Donovan Mitchell.
I didn't think that was an all right comparison.
But Booker's good, right? But saying he's Kobe Bryant is like, okay, we're jumping the shark a little bit here. Like, why do you have to go straight to the level of the absurd? Like, if I would say Devin Booker's the next Chris Mullen, Do you know who Chris Mullen is?
Yes.
All right. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good comparison. He's an athlete who can score mid-range. He can score all three levels. He's a really good shooter. It's a good comparison. Kobe and Chris Mullen's a Hall of Famer. Now, there's levels. Chris Mullen's a Hall of Famer. Kobe Bryant's a Hall of Famer. They're not the same level, right? Well, that's a fair comparison. Kobe Bryant, first of all, he's not even a stopper defensively.
I feel like Booker's better than Chris Mullen. Like Booker's like
Chris
a top
Mullen's
player in the
good,
league, right?
Chris Mullen was on the Dream Team. Chris Mullen was good. That boy could do three things: score, score, and score.
Yeah, he was a great scorer. I think he's one of the best scorers in the league at that time for sure. But like Devin Booker's one of the best players in the league right now.
But what does he do really besides score? He's not a great ball handler. He's not a distributor, right? They brought Chris Paul in because he's not really a pure point guard.
No, he's not. Well, he was never a pure point guard.
Right, which is why they brought Chris Paul in. That Chris Paul handles and Booker can become the scorer. And I think Booker.
You don't think he's a two-way player?
I'm not saying when he first came up, he was a bad defender. He's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, he has.
Kobe Bryant was the best defender in the league for a run.
Oh no, I'm not comparing him to
I don't think he's a defensive liability anymore, like he used to be his first year or two in the league. He is like not physically strong like Kobe, right? Like he's thin, so he's going to have problems with Damian Lillard and the bigger, stronger guards. I mean, I don't think he's a defensive problem. I don't think he's a liability defensively, but he's not a stopper. You don't put Devin Booker on the other team's best player and say, okay, he's taken out of the game. Like,
true. Digressing back to boxing there, Gary.
Ruben Patterson was the Kobe stopper. They asked Kobe who the best defender he ever played was. He said Tony Allen. They said, what about Ruben Patterson? He's like, he's not on the list. And I like Ruben. We played together in LA. And I don't know why he said that. And he's like, Ruben, I like you. Why did you say that? Now you got to embarrass you. And that was when they were trying to get in the playoffs and Kobe scored like 50 on him and hit the fadeaway 40-foot three-pointer in his face. He shouldn't have did it. He shouldn't have woke the sleeping giant. I'm the Kobe stopper. Like, what are you talking about?
Any other thoughts on the Loma card, Gary?
No. The cards outside of Jaime Haas is going to be Floyd Diaz, and then the main event's really entertaining, but the rest of that card's not great.
No,
actually, it's not a bad card. You got the brand fight. It's not a bad card.
A couple other cards this weekend just to make note of. On Friday over in the UK on MTK Global card, obviously Daniel Kinahan card, sponsored by him. Though we're not getting any US television, so we don't get on ESPN.
It's on ESPN Plus.
Doesn't say that on BoxRec. You want to double check on ESPN?
I'm going to check my app right now and see if it's scheduled for tomorrow.
Jay Harris is fighting Ricardo Sandoval. Hosea Burton versus Liam Conroy. Paul Butler versus Baldo Perez. And a bunch of other people.
And you guys know I like Paul Butler because Manny Rodriguez destroyed him. And whenever Matt says, who has Manny Rodriguez ever really beaten? And I say Paul Butler. Yes, we do. It starts at 1 o'clock my time, so 11 a.m. your time. We do have an ESPN Plus.
Fix your shit. Also, this weekend on Saturday on DAZN, Julio Cesar Martinez, possibly the best body puncher in boxing right now, is fighting Joel Cordova in Mexico, and also Diego Pacheco fighting on the card. And that's it for people that I know, to be quite honest.
Too bad no one's going to watch this card given the other action on Saturday. It's a shame that no one's going to watch this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good card to just have on like in the background too, because like for me, I have like multiple screens on, right?
I'm too old for that. I can't look at multiple screens.
It'd be good because like this is just stacked with Mexican talent that's gonna like throw it out. So like it's gonna at least be entertaining scraps throughout. So even though I don't know anyone on this card except for Diego Pacheco and the main event, it should be entertaining. Also, there is on Sunday, Gary's boy. David Morrell, the blue chip prospect in the light heavyweight division or
super middleweight,
fighting another undefeated fighter, and Mario Cazares, who, I mean, I think he had a really good win in his last fight. I forget who it was. But this is a really intriguing fight, to be honest, because Mario Cazares is more of like a 175 pounder, I believe. So he's fighting a bigger guy naturally, another undefeated fighter. Main event on Fox on Sunday, where there's not going to be as much competition. Plus, there's no football in this, in the season right now. It's not like he's competing with that. I'm curious about what this does in terms of viewership. I'm curious about Morel's performance here. And I'm curious about what this could potentially do for stardom, because clearly this is an attempt to like manufacture some stardom, some clout around him, some viewership, some fans around him, because there's no reason to put a 5-0 prospect on a Fox main event on a Sunday where it's just that card and they're not competing with any other boxing, unless you want him to be a star in the near future.
So, yeah, Matt said he had a good win. His last win was against Chavez Jr. and he stopped Chavez on cuts or whatever it was. I mean, it's a name. It's a note. Chavez did just lose Anderson Silva after that.
Hold on. Let's not besmirch that, Gary. Okay, because we didn't talk.
I was torn on who to root for. Do I root for my own sport being a laughing stock, or do I root for Anderson Silva, who I admire? Come on. I'm torn here.
Did you watch that fight, Gary?
I did not. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. Once I heard that Chavez won and lost, and he looked bad, and the fight wasn't even as close as the judges had, I was like, I don't need to watch this. I don't need to. Did Anderson Silva look good, or did Chavez just look really bad?
No, Anderson looked good, man. For a guy that's 44 years old?
46.
46. Dude, he was fast. I'll be honest. I mentioned Gabe Rosado, who fought that same weekend. I was like, that wouldn't be in a fight that's out of the question, in my opinion. If Anderson really wants to try boxing, even at this late stage of his life and career, go for it. He looked that good. I know Chavez didn't do that well, but Chavez is a guy that still roughed up Daniel Jacobs and won the beginning of that fight.
And the round that he quit, probably won that round too.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that was beating a top 10 middleweight and super middleweight just a year and a half ago. Chavez, even though he doesn't give a fuck, clearly, he has talent. And Anderson kind of styled on him in that old school Anderson Silva way. He even did that shit where he went to the corner and was like, come on, try to hit me. Let's go. He did the old school Anderson stuff to Chavez. I was generally impressed by Anderson Silva's performance. It made me think about what would happen if he actually had stuck out boxing in Brazil and not MMA, because he has talent. Back to you.
I didn't see the fight. When I heard Anderson Silva won, I face palmed and was kind of happy at the same time, because Chavez is not that old. Anderson Silva is 46. Anderson Silva is an MMA guy. Chavez is a professional boxer, a high-level professional boxer.
Former champion.
This shouldn't have happened, right? But kudos to Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva's a class act. He's a good guy. I root for him. And again, if he wants to take another fight, a real fight, he should do that. He should absolutely do that. But that's the win that Cazares has. Again, it's a good win for 12th pro fight. That's a good win. Morel is only 4 fights in, so this is a big fight. The winner is fast tracked here. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be at this fight too, by the way. I'm because Omar Juarez is fighting on the undercard. So I'm going to be at this fight. It's in Minneapolis, which is
it's not up on Box, right, Gary? Anyone else on the undercard? Anyone else on the undercard that you know?
I have to go through it.
Do you have a bout sheet for it?
The Nigerian cruiserweight, F.A. Apache is on it.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
Yeah,
even though he doesn't get the notification as the other FA.
Yeah,
he's probably the better one. Just saying.
The other FA just got the notoriety because someone walked out the ring.
Dude, that was so crazy.
Which was epic, but I never thought, and the PBC fanboys, because he was at PBC at that time. I know he's at top right now, but the PBC fanboys were all over FA. It's like he's super robotic. He's like he's not that good, guys. I know he's got pop, but it looks like an old school computer video game. Like left hand, right hand. Like I was never high on FA. Like he's got power. That's really it. Hey, let's see it. Maybe. Like, I like Morale a lot, but like he's fighting a real guy. He's fighting a real opponent who really beat Chavez. He could lose. I'm gonna tell you who can't lose is Omar Juarez. Ain't nobody beating him.
So, like, if he fought like a top 10 guy right now, he would win?
If I say he would beat Barrios right now, I'm kind of contradicting myself because I just said Barrios was the best 140-pounder, right?
Yeah. Is it a 1A, 1B situation?
He's not going to be fighting any top 10 guys in any time near future. So, I can say any dumb thing I want because it's not going to happen.
Because it's not. Gary, oh my God.
Like if I said he beats Ramirez, he's not going to fight Ramirez anytime in the near future, right? So I mean, I can say it. You know.
No, I understand, Gary.
Wrong.
Oh, he froze. I froze probably.
Who's freezing up?
It might be. I'm not on Ethernet, Gary, because I'm at my girlfriend's house, not the studio.
Okay.
So it might be me. I'm not blaming you, Gary. It could be.
I got one of these extender things, these Wi-Fi extenders.
What the fuck's a Wi-Fi? What's that?
Exactly, kind of what it's like. This little box that you put. Like my modem is upstairs, like the other side of the house from my office.
Okay.
So it's like this little box that you just put next to whatever you want to use, and it works pretty good. Like I don't like in my office. I always need to be an Ethernet or it work like trash. Like as you know, it works pretty good now either way now because it's like putting your laptop right next to the modem.
Mm-hmm.
Which
let's talk about the fights this last weekend briefly. First up, the monster, arguably a top 3, top 5 pound for pound fighter in the world right now, Nao Inoue. I don't know about that. Fighting a completely unknown fighter in Michael Dazamarnis or whatever his name was again. I don't care. Don't care to see him again. Don't care to see him again.
But he's been around. He's lost to people before.
Gary, we went through this before. Remember on the last show? He hasn't fought anyone.
Okay.
His losses are to Lemondel Sitatha.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy. You know him. Remember him?
Yeah. I grew up with him. We went to high school together.
Marbon Bodiagon. Or Diagon. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
He was a gym legend.
He was a gym legend. I love that Gary. That was good. I mean, he knocked him out in 3 rounds anyway. Like, it is what it is. I just wanted to fight Rigondeaux next. That's all I care about. Just please give me the Rigo fight before Rigo retires. That's all I care about. I don't care about a Donaire rematch. I don't care about anything else. I just care about Rigondeaux. Please, for the love of God. Or Inoue finally gets some cojones and goes down to 115 and fights the real guys that he ducked.
Yeah, like Josh Franco.
God damn it, Gary. Frank in the chat saying, didn't Rigo pull out a fight? No, actually. That was what first was reported. What came out later is that I forget who asked who. Whether it was Rigo's team that asked Donaire or Donaire's team that asked Rigo's team. I forget exactly which way it went. But someone asked if they can basically switch events. And that's what happened. Rigo did not get injured, which is weird. I've never really heard of that happening at this high of a level. But oddly enough, like because it's Donaire, Like he's friends with all these guys, except for Casamora right now. Clearly, have you been seeing that, Gary?
What was that?
Have you seen the beef between Donaire and Casamora?
Yeah.
Dude, Memo Heredia.
Donaire seems like a hard guy to be mad at. Like Donaire seems like a goofy friend that everyone kind of likes. Like, okay.
Dude, I couldn't imagine if you're like a fighter having your wife / manager fighting on social media with your opponent's manager and what do you want to call it? Supplement supplier, Memo Heredia, and Sean Gibbons obviously being the manager. It's just odd. Like it's not surprising with the people involved, Sean Gibbons and Memo Heredia. Two guys are just classy individuals. But just odd. Really weird build up for the fight. I hope Donaire knocks out Casamora.
Oh, he will. He will.
I hope so. But back to Inoue. I really wanted to see the Rigondeaux fight. I know Heath is in the chat talking mad shit about Rigo. I see you, Heath. I see you in the chat. I'll be talking to you in the group chat later. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, the performance was what it was. It was good, but it was against a lackluster opponent. What was the co-main? Oh, the co-main was a women's fight.
Michaela Erica Ferres, which was a good fight.
It was, which I said it would be, but I thought Ferres would win. But she just doesn't do enough to win. Like she just loses. She fights well and loses every single time.
She fights in spurts and issue. No, you can't throw consistent combinations. It's a combination, rest. Combination, rest, combination, jab, 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 combination. It's not that consistent output that she kind of needs to have with that style.
And then Rodolfo Delgado looked lethargic in the. I wanted to see him look good, and then I was really high on him, and he probably just isn't it. Like he's probably not a highly touted guy. Like,
and it happens, some prospects are just like they're just good. They're the greatest guy in their gym.
Yep,
they're the greatest guy in their city, but that doesn't translate to the world stage. Also, Gary, you buried the lead here. Our boy, Isaac Dogbe.
Oh wow, yeah.
Getting a big win that he needed to get, in my opinion, in a really tough fight with Adam Lopez.
Good fight. Who did you think won the fight?
I thought Dogbe won it. I didn't score it, to be honest. But it was tough, man. It was a tough fight. I thought Adam Lopez did great in the back half of the fight. Dogbe, I thought, just sealed up enough rounds in the beginning. Like I think I gave him the first 4 or 5 rounds in my head. Except for the knockdown, right? Wasn't there a knockdown? I imagine that.
Was there a knockdown? I mean, this is almost a week ago already. I don't recall.
I forget. Sorry, listeners. But I thought
there's no knockdown. There's no knockdown.
But it was a good fight. I mean, I was. Dogbe still has sort of technical issues. I don't think he's ever going to really fix. But he's a fun fighter, and maybe he's not that top 5 guy because he's clearly not, in my opinion. But that top 8, 9, 10 guy that's always going to be in fun fights. It's going to be a great B side for the top 5 guys. I think he has that perfect role for the division.
Yeah, he's got to throw more straight punches. He's he's working with Barry Hunter, right, over in with Headbangers Gym.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I like to see how that turns out. See how he improves there. But he fought well. I'm not sure that he deserved the decision, although it was really close. I wasn't against him getting it. I thought Lopez probably did enough to win the second half of the fight. I thought it was a good fight between two guys, 2 top 10 guys, who probably are going to struggle against the absolute elite in the division.
But still be, fun fighters that have a definite role for the division. Also, this last weekend, as I mentioned earlier, Jaime Munguia fought against Kamil Zamarata, knocked him out, or finished him, I should say, in the 6th round, in between rounds, specifically. Gary, your thoughts on this fight? Thoughts on Munguia going forward?
I thought Munguia looked a lot. I'm not saying he looked good. I'm not saying he's going to beat Canelo. He looked a lot better. I thought he looked a lot lighter on his feet. He was throwing more combination work. I thought he looked better. I saw the improvement that the zone and Matchroom the zone kept telling me I was seeing, which I hadn't seen before. Right, like he looks lighter. He's cutting off the ring. Like he looked lighter on his feet. He's cutting off the ring better. His combinations was better. Like he looked better. Now he's still really flawed, and he's still not ready. He's not going to beat Andre next. But I thought this was a step in the right direction.
He did look better. It did like an improved performance. I will agree with you on that. The lack of power, though. I mean, even though he did finish him technically, in the 6th round or in between rounds, he's not really hurting these guys like he was at 154. And even at the tail end of his 154 run, he wasn't hurting guys.
The only guy you hurt at 154 was a 147 pounder. Yeah,
that's probably true. Though he did kind of hurt Liam Smith a bit, from my recollection. Munguia, I think, is just going to struggle in the top 5. Like, I think he can beat these top 15 guys, no problem. But I just don't see him beating Triple G, Andrade, Charlo, Rob Brandt, Murata. Like, those are 5 guys right there.
He's not beating any of those guys. No,
I just don't see him beating them. And maybe there's other guys I can think of if I pull up the rankings here, but I just don't see that rapid improvement that we want to see from prospects. When we see prospects make that rapid leap up in development, that's usually a sign that they have a super high ceiling, in my opinion. When prospects are making that very slow incremental improvements while they're already at the top theoretically, but still a prospect, I'm highly, highly suspicious of what their ceiling is at the very top. Especially guys like Munguia that are clearly like being shielded from the very top of the division while being a world champion at 154.
Yeah, because Munguia was the 154 WBO champion, which means he could have forced a 160 fight with Andre. And Andre didn't have a whole lot of better options. Andre would have jumped at it. And Golden Boy wanted nothing to do with Demetrius Andre.
I forgot Derevchenko, Eslandi Laura now in the division.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
even guys like Luis Aries, I might pick against Munguia right now.
Yeah.
Or even like a prospect like Esquiva Falcao from Brazil. Like, he's a really good prospect that's been hidden on Top Rank. Like, who's the real prospect? Who's the real talented one that's been hidden and been manufactured? I want to see that.
Charles Conwell. I know that's 154 pounder, but they say he can fight at 160. Like, Conwell's really good. Conwell will destroy him.
Yeah.
I like Munguia. I like he's a fun fighter to watch, but like he's really flawed.
Very flawed. Very flawed. Moving on from that, also on the card, like we mentioned earlier, Gabe Rosado knocking out Bektor Melikuziev in dramatic fashion in the 3rd round. After he was knocked down, Rosado was knocked down in the 1st round, and I'll be honest, he was getting his ass kicked the first 2.5 rounds, Gary. Like, it was not looking good for Rosado there. I was getting really worried about him being able to survive the full 12, and then all of a sudden...
Well, yeah, the 1st round, it looked like he might get stopped. The 2nd round, he kind of stopped the bleeding, and the 3rd round, he stopped Melikuziev. I think he was not looking to win rounds, and he was looking to land and stop Melikuziev. And that's exactly what he did. I thought he kind of sandbagged Melikuziev in and then did what he wanted to. I thought it was a crafty thing that Rosado did. And it's going to be fun to see because Rosado's arguably got a win over Jacobs and Melikuziev. So a veteran and an upstart is less to it. It's interesting to see where he goes from here.
Also on the card, Marlon Esparza defeating Beth Silva. Blair College picking up a win against Brad Solomon, the great Brad Solomon.
Can we stop using him now? He's awful.
Oh, he's always been awful.
He's got a win over Ray Robinson. He's got a decent win early in his career. But yeah.
Freddie Hernandez.
Earlier. Demetrius Hopkins. There you go.
Yeah, Demetrius Hopkins. That was a win at the time. Anyways, also on the card, Raul Correa defeating Ferdinand Caraban, who I remember being a big prospect in the LA scene with the Armenian crowd up in Glendale. He's manufactured a lot in the LA crowd, in the LA regional scene. Alexis Rocha picking up a win as well. Manuel Flores pick up a win. Gary's boy, Tristan Kalkuth, getting a loss against a guy that's 10-10.
His arm fell out of his body, so let's put an asterisk next to that one. He fought with a dislocated right hand. So let's just keep that in perspective. I don't know, you didn't see it, right?
Hey, man, Donaire. Inoue beat Donaire with the broken orbital bone, man. I mean, come on.
Broken orbital bone, you can still throw punches.
You have another arm.
And he jabbed. Look, it was not a great performance, and he wasn't doing great before his arm fell out. His arm fell out, I guess, in the third round or so. But, like, it was hanging. He was fighting one arm. Like, he lost. Okay? But let's not act like...
Gary, I didn't see the fight, I'll be honest. So I don't know.
His arm fell out. He was fighting one-armed.
I just heard that he lost and was laughing on Saturday night. It was funny to me. I'm sorry, Gary.
It's okay. He'll be back. He lost with one arm. It's okay.
Gary, I think that's it for fights in terms of last weekend. And
we got Jamal Charlo.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I apologize, Gary. Which was a good fight in its own right too, for what it was.
I was right that Montiel is very good. It's good that he's not a pushover. That he was a real opponent.
Yes and no. Okay, Montiel is definitely tough. Good.
The problem is he's long and he's painfully slow, so it makes him look bad, right? Like he's really slow. Like the difference in speed.
Like a poor man's Dominic Brazil.
But Montiel is I'd like to see him again, and I think he fought well enough again. But we'll see him fight another decent opponent. Have him fight Kieran Davis next.
I really don't want to see that. I'm good. I didn't think he was that entertaining, to be honest. I thought just Charlo struggled. Like I thought this was another Brandon Adams performance.
I see. No, because he was missing Adams. Adams was making it look like he was Pernell Whitaker in there, missing shots. Like, gosh, like Kevin Adams is not that good. I said before the fight, Montiel's a real opponent. Montiel's good. And I said that Charlo would beat him and would dominate, but I think Montiel's a good fighter. And I think what I said kind of came to fruition. I don't think Montiel was a pushover. Now, he was never going to win the fight. He was never really that competitive. He kind of...
Did he win a round?
Yeah, because he kind of buzzed him. I think it was the ninth half round. He kind of buzzed him.
Did he, though?
Yeah, I mean, not like he wasn't, like, wobbled like jellyfish legs. Like, but he, like he was like, let me get the hell out of Dodge right now. That kind of hurt.
Again, you're right that, like, the Brandon Adams performance isn't a one-on-one analog, but it's very similar. Like, yes, Adams made him miss, so that's why it made Charlo look bad. Montiel ate every shot that Charlo threw. Like, it seemed like every punch that Charlo threw, like, Montiel was just eating that shit.
And you guys know Charlo's my favorite fighter, but I contrary to popular opinion, I actually think Jamal Charlo is a terrible finisher, and he gets way too over-aggressive and way too wide, and when he fights better fighters, he's going to get tagged, right? Because I don't think he's a good finisher at all.
I think this was just, like, a real tough fighter that wasn't going to be knocked out, and Charlo just, like you said, couldn't finish the fight and was landing everything, and it was just him fighting this really slow, like, sloth-like person that was just, like, moving through molasses in the ring. Like, it was just weird. It was kind of a weird fight, I'll be honest, Gary. Like, it was entertaining in some degree, but it was one of those fights where, like, by the fourth or fifth round, you can probably stop watching it because it's the same round over and over again of Charlo throwing a ton of punches, landing a ton, and Montiel having this really awkward high guard and, like, standing super upright and just eating shots and looking dumbfounded. You remember in Half Baked, right? What's that one guy's name in real life? The one with the really, like, signature laugh. Remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it Jim something or John something?
No, it's Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer. Okay,
guys, great.
I love Jim Brewer. Love him to death, man. This was like watching Jim Brewer fight, like, really high. like Mexican version. Okay. I'm sorry. Like it was weird to me. Co-main event though, Angelo Leo versus Aaron Alamati was a really fun fight as well, really close fight. Leo just probably doesn't have that pop, you know what I mean? But can throw a shit ton of punches, real aggressive fighter, and decent boxer, so he's going to win a lot of rounds. But this was tough. Alamati was definitely a game opponent. Isaac Gonzalez defeating Francisco Vargas. Francisco Vargas, obviously former champion, Olympian, I believe, right? Was he on the Olympic team?
I don't know.
I think he was on the Mexico Olympic team. Kind of sad to see, I'll be quite honest. Fun fight, but like Vargas is one of those guys who had wars with like Orlando Salida, Takashi Mora, right? Like there was a bunch of fights he had there that was just like brawls, 5-of-the-year contenders or 5-of-the-year winners, and it's clear that like those affected him. And I just hope that he has money set aside because he should probably retire. And also Miguel Flores picking up a win as well. Gary, any other thoughts on that card?
No, I think we covered. I mean, it was basically just the main event, which was noteworthy.
Gary, as you know,
the Leo fight was good.
It was a good fight. Definitely one I would recommend to watch if you haven't seen it. Again, the main event. Watch the first 4 rounds. You can move on from that. It's the same round over and over again. It's like I said, Charlo kind of has those moments where he's like Demetrius Andrade, but he just throws more punches. Like they neither guy kind of finishes fights that they should in a lot of ways. But digressing from that, Gary, any big news that we're forgetting to mention before we head out of here?
Well, Virgil Ortiz is fighting Ajivas Kavalauskas. Terrence Crawford against an unnamed opponent on October 23rd, which is going to be named later, and it's probably going to be Josito Lopez.
Yeah.
And then the Charlo Montiel fight did the PBC's showtime's best rating.
Since the pandemic started.
Chris Colbert, Gamboa's out.
Hold on. Since the pandemic started. Yeah. And the number was like 330. 333
and a peak of 379. So that used to be a terrible rating.
It is a bad rating.
And Tug is in, and Gamboa is out. Gamboa got injured for the Colbert fight, and Tug Nyembar is in.
Dude, I just saw King Tug this morning.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
I believe you. Did he train in your area?
I don't know. I know who I was with in the gym. They were talking to his manager. I was off doing equipment stuff, to be honest. So I really didn't get to like talk to him, but I saw that he was there. I was just busy working. I was at the Hill Street Boxing Club in Signal Hill, LA. If anyone wants to go check it out, really good boxing gym. And he showed up. You know, kind of this nondescript person. You know, he's not the biggest guy there. And no, he's not a big guy. And plus, like for some reason, the gym was packed this morning, and there was like at least 3 or 4 big heavyweights in the gym. And I mean, Gary, you know this. Whenever you're in a gym, there's a lot of heavyweights in the gym. They just take up so much space.
Yeah.
You don't realize it, but they take up so much fucking space. So I just didn't notice King Tug at first until who I was with pointed him out. And then I had to leave, unfortunately. But King Tug, you look good. He's just starting training. He's, in LA working, sparring a lot of Mexicans and Latinos. Should be fun.
Chris Colbert is sensational, though, so he's not going to have too much success there.
No, but it should be a fun fight.
Yeah.
Like, it should bring out a lot of offense in Chris Colbert.
I think it's a better fight than the Gamboa fight, honestly.
1,000%. 1,000%. Gamboa's just a bigger name.
Yeah.
And he's a common opponent with a lot of guys now, like Haney, like Gervonta Davis. That's the only reason you would want to fight Gamboa at this point in time. But no, the King Tug fight's clearly better. I'm interested in that. Gary, that's gonna be it for today. We have to move out of here. Be back on next week. Talk about all things boxing and combat sports related, and also on my other show, General Strike Podcast, all things political and news related. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all social media platforms. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Patreon.com/Trending Now Network. Gary.
Find me all forms of social media at 3D Boxing blog. There you go. Please subscribe to my new channel, Texas Boxing Scene. All proceeds go to autism research and recovery. So help us monetize, help us get that up and running as quickly as possible. I'd appreciate it. That's everyone listening right now. Go subscribe.
As the great Ben Stiller said, do it. Do it.
It is June 24th. 2021. Ivan Calderon is still not in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Let's make that change. Let's get the Iron Boy in. The class of 2021. Texas is still not a country. Let's make Texas a country again. From Texas to the world, thank you and God bless.
And remember, at all times, fuck the police and free Palestine. Peace.